Right, that is right. How's everybody feeling out there? How is everybody feeling today? We got a jam-packed episode for you guys. We got somebody that I've been watching for a little while now. His name is Schiller. We're going to bring him in a second. If you guys are just joining us right now, go ahead and hit that like button like you hit that buy now button, because you never know. It could be a secret rare. And subscribe to the channel, guys. It's easy. And it's free. One day I'm going to start charging you guys to subscribe. Today, it is free. So go ahead and hit that bell. And you can ring my bell, ring my bell.
I thought a friendly little skirmish with the X-Men might teach us a few pointers.
I got your pointers right here.
Yo. How's everybody feeling out there? I hope everybody's good. Guys, we got a special guest in the building. I don't know if I'm going to do an okay introduction. I'm going to try. He is a content creator. He is a Web3 enthusiast. And he's entertaining, man. I watch his content. And I wanted to bring him on just to get to know him a little bit. So I need everybody to please put your hands together for the one, the only, the Schiller. Oh.
Yo, you're too kind.
What's up, man? How you feeling today?
Good. It's Canada Day here, so everybody's got their Canadian flags, and it's pretty festive per se, but otherwise not much going on. How about you?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy to have you. So, I did the worst job. So can you please introduce yourselves for those that don't know who you are?
Yo, I mean, how do you intro? I mean, so back in the day, I started as a baseball umpire, right? And you're like, okay, you know, parents can't be that bad, right? Absolutely wrong story. And you kind of enjoy it to an extent. You know, you're playing sports, you're getting paid for it. You can go and buy your Lord of the Rings video game, whatever the heck you want. And then you end up growing older and you say, hey, I'm going to, be active in high school, hang out, get involved in drama. We get to do broadcasting. We had a guy that looked exactly like Michael Scott, for anybody that ever ever saw The Office, and that led me down a path of thinking that I could be an engineer, and I'm one of the worst people ever at math, and quickly found that out, and ended up in a radio broadcasting thing, and then scurry along. A friend introduced me to trading cards in a way, as well as Bitcoin and NBA Top Shot, and at a point, I was like, hey, this is going to be the next big thing, and it happened to be, and so we started streaming, and that went stupidly well. And now 3 years later, we're still covering stuff that's going on in the blockchain space.
That's right. You started with NBA Top Shot.
That's the one. And I think that people forget at a time when we have so many different options and communities and things you can hang out with. There's really not like a sole focus right now for the greater Web3 area. Top Shot at a time when there wasn't a whole lot. People were just doing it because it was fun. It wasn't super expensive at a point. And I think that's, what we're here for, to have fun, build these communities and all that other stuff, and just, have more friends. Because have you guys seen what's going on in person? I love the metaverse. I'm here for it.
That's right. And what is it about it? Were you a card collector? Were you into basketball prior to it?
So, I was into NBA for quite a while, and I kind of go through phases of like what I'm interested in, but I ended up having a friend from that radio broadcasting program that was a year younger, and he got into flipping sports cards for like a side job. And I was like, there's no way you could do that. That's crazy. And then he actually introduced me to Top Shot, and I just was kind of looking at the marketplace and thought like, hey, this is cool. And then all of a sudden it started upticking and the interest was there, and it just kind of took off. And that's what I guess this kind of whole virality thing can be. And it's cool experiencing it too, because I think for anybody that's been a part of something, when you see it in its early inception and then all of a sudden the world knows about it, you can be like, yo, I went to high school with that person. You know what I mean? It's that kind of nostalgic feel.
That's awesome. Did you always have you say you went to radio broadcasting. Was that part of college? Was that just a side program? What was that?
Yeah, no, so that was a part of college. I dropped out of the engineering program to go into radio because I was like, I have no idea what the heck I want to do for these other things. And it just kind of led me down a path of enjoying doing kind of talking sessions and everything else. And realizing at the time, like with Top Shot, is there's not many people doing content. Like, shout out to you for doing this, because I think a lot of people have to realize you need to take the initiative. Things that you see are people that you like look up to in like any sense. It's not like it just happened to them, right? And so the space was so small at the time, and to be frank, like it still is, and there's still a lot of room for it to grow, and people really like following specific creators. So I mean, you come by, you see Kid Arcade, you're like, okay, this is kind of a vibe. You come back again, and that's where you get all of your kind of like Web3 hit from.
And so Top Shot was your introduction to NFTs. Did you ever mint your own NFTs?
Yes, I did. So I had a paint collection. What we used to do on Twitch is we had a like the point system on the bottom, and if you watched for long enough, we did like a live Schiller paint. So we drew these characters on paint, and that was the first thing. We did do some other collections, and there was other things that reached out. It didn't end up working as great. One of the problems that was affected for some earlier collections, just to kind of touch on that, because I don't know if everybody knows kind of the behind the scenes of things, is at the time when things were really ripe hot in like 21 and early 22, there was very few devs out there. And so everybody had the idea of, hey, this is going to be something where you can kind of build a group together, we can do something, and it's kind of seeding a project in a way. And there's a lot of issues with things. And one of the big ones was the accessibility to actually build something. So Sandbox Land, I'm not sure if you're, really into Sandbox, if you have any kind of strong opinions on it, but a lot of the earlier projects, we went out and spent thousands building out Sandbox Lands, but then it wasn't there. It didn't end up having like the user base, and everybody made these big bets on the metaverse aspect. And so to kind of tie it back around of like why I've been so interested in Futureverse is there was so many people with like good intentions that tried to do something and they couldn't because the technology was so hard to use. And I think the ones building that tech stack are going to be some of the most important things that we see for the growth of this industry.
Right. I do agree. A lot of people did get burned, and I had a lot of friends as well that were building out spaces and investing and buying properties, and it didn't really go anywhere, right? And I think that a lot of these companies are just they have good intentions. They probably have good intentions, but it's just so difficult to put it together, right? It's just they overthink, they overpromise, and sometimes it just backfires.
But people are here and they see that something's going on, and I think that aspect's fun and why we're here.
So you got into Top Shot. You weren't doing YouTube just yet. Did you think you were gonna do YouTube? Were you always interested in YouTube prior to that?
I mean, I always thought that videos and whatnot are cool. Like, I'm a huge like podcast listener for people that are doing like esports shows type deal. I love listening to all of that, but I wouldn't. I don't know if I knew like for sure I wanted to go into that aspect. Because again, for school, I was like, yeah, I'm going to be an engineer because that pays a whole lot. Except for the fact that I have no idea what the hell I'm doing.
All right. So you start your collecting journey with Top Shot. What triggers the YouTube channel? What triggers you coming onto the camera?
So this was, I think, right around the time of COVID hitting and whatnot. And I think it was like just slightly before. And I was like, okay, like there's a huge audience here and there's not much going on. And at the time, I think I was streaming like RuneScape, trying to be like, hey, like maybe I could like get into streaming. It was only for like a little bit. But then Top Shot, and that was one of the greatest things that I kind of realized is from like experiencing this huge viral moment is like realizing you can absolutely do things in terms of like trying to grow like a following of some sort on your own. But if you're attached to something that people love and you know, to a point, it's like, okay, what's like the competition around it? If you go to like Pokemon, there's 105 different YouTubers. Well, sorry, not 105, 150 million, what, you know, crazy amounts of people that are covering something. But if you find something that you are super passionate about and there's a crowd for it, the world's your oyster in that kind of way. And so just seeing the aspect of everything with the rapid growth within the space it's awesome that you're covering things. And I know for you and Vivi, I was rewatching it again, like, guys, if you haven't seen it, it's actually like, it reminds me of the early Top Shot days, the way that you guys were talking, the energy, it's a vibe. And I think that people are addicted to experiencing something they like with like a bolster of that extra engagement or way to really partake. And I think that's where, you know, this whole blockchain aspect of opening things up, breaking barriers, having that extra real, true kind of like fandom aspect comes into play.
You know, it's when I rewatch our own, I try not to rewatch my own stuff, but keeping an excitement and just being excited about the space, even during today, after everything we've been through for the past 3 years, it's almost very difficult to do. So if we're able to bring some of that excitement, it might spark up other people to just stay excited, 100%. You know? Did you ever make any money in Top Shot?
Yeah. We live streamed when my portfolio hit $1 million worth of value, and I definitely did not cash out anywhere remotely near there. But you know, that's one thing with being like young and naive, and I realized that for the interest of like when you're younger, people saying, "Oh, like I've gotten into investing or care about money," like. I had so many jobs growing up, like through college. I had like 4 different jobs, like throughout the school and on the side. And I would argue that like I was kind of like a workaholic. Yeah. And then I totally lost my train of thought. Holy smokes. I went way back into time there for a minute. I got distracted. I'll come back to it if I remember it. But I think like just I forget the point. Apologies.
No, it's all good. It's all good. So you got into Top Shot. Did you know about the blockchain? How did you learn about the blockchain? And did the blockchain, the technology excite you in any way?
So I remember my point from a second ago. So
Okay.
the investing or understanding money, I didn't care about that at all until that happened with Top Shot, where I could like actually deal with it, because you had, you know, suddenly something you didn't put a whole lot into, and then it was worth a lot, and then you care about those things from taxes to everything else. So just wanted to clarify that comment now that I remember it. But for learning about the blockchain, it was the same guy that showed me NBA Top Shot. He just kind of introduced me to Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I kind of like looked into all of it, and I was like, holy smokes, there's a whole nother world here. And I just, you know, kind of kept an open mind, and that was kind of the journey, and then trying to learn everything from scratch.
Well, so NBA Top Shot, what was your second project? What was the second thing that you dove into?
So Bored Ape Yacht Club, kind of crazy that we went kind of one straight into the other on that. I had a friend that messaged me because we were doing the Top Shot streams, and so people used to like tag me on like, hey, there's these giveaways and whatnot, and one of them was Bored Apes, and I was like, hey, this looks kind of cool, and so we just streamed it, and you know, it was kind of like, hey, this is cool. And then at 2 a.m., Blau, the DJ, and Pranksy, if everybody knows the NFT whale, he started showing up in like the Discord. And like I was up because I was amped. And I was like, these are just cool. And so like I pinged everybody in my Discord. I was like, hey guys, I think this is about to mint out. And for everyone, like it's wild. I've gone to a couple events and people have walked up saying like, yo man, you changed my life. And I'm like, I don't think so. But I mean, that's cool that you just kind of introed something to people that changed a life, whether it be monetarily or community driven or, you know, whatever. I think that, you know, the space has a lot of places to solve.
Yeah, I mean, you put yourself out there, right? So when people watch your videos every day, and as they're living life and they're tuning into your channel, they almost like grow with you. So there's a sense of like knowing somebody in a sense. They know you, but you know them less. So
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
you talked about the Bored Ape Twitch. Are you still twitching?
So yeah. So every day we do like a 45 minute daily recap. I just call it X feed. Different tweets. Your tweets might have been on there for anybody that's watching. If you have a hot take about anything, and it's just kind of a quick like recap of the space, because it's wild how much goes on. But I really truly believe, and I'm curious your take on it. Like, do you find that the space is you're into what you're into, and that's just it? Because it feels like that's the case for the most part.
Yeah, it feels like people find their, there's a sense of you being part of the company. So if another company comes along, you almost feel like you're in competitions with them, right? And or they're trying to take over your market share or whatever it is. And I don't see it like that, but I do see it like that. It's weird. Just like between me and you, I believe we have two different types of audiences, and I look at yours and I'm like, how come I haven't really come across him, or anybody that I follow hasn't reposted you? But everybody has their own little niche or little community, and they seem to be afraid, or maybe not afraid. I mean, maybe I'm talking for the VV people, because the whole self-custody situation, people might just be scared of the Web3, or they might not be knowledgeable enough. Vivi made it easy for them to, so maybe because of that they don't want to branch out. I have no idea, but I do see the separation.
Well, there was a funny interview with Michael Saylor the other day, and he was talking about diversity and referencing how people say, "Oh yeah, like if you're in crypto, be like diverse." And he was talking about like why are you diverse? Like, you use one microphone, you sit on one chair, you have one computer. Like, do you need 10 of them? And I was like, that's fascinating. But it comes back to the fact of, when we find something we like, we're all in on it. Like, you probably play the same video game every day. Sure, you might pass other things, but until there's a good hard reason for you to care about it, for you to have affinity to it in any sort of way, like, there's got to be something that is, that viral moment or that Disney or whatever it be to make that happen, I think.
Right. And I also think that there's not enough time in a day. There's just so much happening sometimes in one project. Like I try to cover Elmon X. I don't know if you're familiar with Elmon X, McFarlane Digital, Cryptoids, but Vivi just has so much drama and so many drops happening.
Everyone's got drama. Listen, I'm telling you, one of my favorite things is like, we just call Fridays Fun Fridays. Honestly, when you go on the timeline, we've had Cool Cats freaking out as of recently. Artifact, that the world was burning the other day when we had, I guess it was like the other month when the rumors of Artifact shutting down and the fact that they're launching the shoe that was supposed to be only for the NFT providers. And now you're mass marketing it. Where the hell's our exclusivity? And you go down the list to the Bored Ape Yacht Club with the guy they hired from Blizzard, which I didn't understand that in the first place. And then he comes out and tries to make comments on things, and then they buy Moonbirds, and then they did something else, and then everybody's like, "What the hell's going on?" And it's insane. But everything's got fun, and that's what makes this place even better.
Yeah, it does make it entertaining for sure, especially for us, right? If we're covering it.
People love drama.
Yeah, they love it. You get more views on the drama. I also think people don't have the money, right? You don't have the money to be into everything, because everything costs money.
100%. Well, that's the part that's weird, is like the avoidance of talking about like the financial aspect of everything Web3. It's exactly the same as when I go on a marketplace and I'm looking at Pokemon cards and people are trying to like buy, sell these things, and it's just there's that friction of the physical. It's no different with this. People care about like the values of things. Sure, it's collecting. Sure, there's potentially more to it, but like I once the whole regulatory thing fully like opens up and there's legitimately zero concerns about things, where it's been clarified in like some countries regarding the NFTs and digital assets, like everything's going to look totally different.
What do you look for? Like you yourself, what do you look for when you purchase an NFT? What do you expect from it?
Okay, so as of lately, I've been like super anti-NFT, just because I feel like going through the first wave, like obviously Top Shot was one of the ones that went crazy at a point, but I think that was because the greater market within crypto went nuts and people were just like, hey, we have assets and incentive on this network, and we want to do things on that because it's different, it's exhilarating, it's at lightning speed, it's the whole TikTok genre area, et cetera, et cetera. And so I haven't really found anything that I'm like, yeah, I would love that, apart from if I wanted to try to represent something. In terms of like the Clone X's, I thought the Murakami accessories and stuff looked really cool. You look at the floor place, oh, those are like 3 ETH? Okay, never mind. But
Wow. I just lost my train of thought thinking about Clone X. What was I just gonna jump on to? What makes you happy?
Listen, that's a crazy question. I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm super passionate about everything that's going on with Futureverse right now. So I genuinely feel like excitement about things. And for me, like it's part of it is kind of like a purpose in a way, because one of the things that I struggled with from going from Top Shot to Bored Apes to, I mean, kind of like a year and a half of like nothingness, for lack of a better term, is we had like a huge drought, and anybody that did content originally was usually for a reason, you know, whether it was they were really good at Axie Infinity or something going on with Zedrun. A lot of people created a following off of that. When those things died or the interest wasn't there because there was problems, you're kind of left to fill the void and, you know, find another community. And so being able to be like, hey, like there's a lot of stuff going on in this ecosystem. Not everybody's has the privilege of being online to find out about these things, but maybe I can bring joy to them. I think that's a really fun thing for me. But otherwise, like, I mean, I'm playing like League of Legends and just chilling, you know?
Yeah. So bringing it back to the communities, right? We have all these sub communities of different projects, and some of these communities don't even merge. Do the companies need to do anything to bring these communities together? Do you think we'll be stronger in that way, or is there nothing they can do?
Well, I mean, I think we've seen it tried where like Futureverse gave out free land to Cool Cats, Pudgies, Deadfellows. There's a couple. It wasn't every collection. It was like a small subset of them, but it was still kind of like a cool initiative. And to be honest, for anyone that doesn't know, it was met with like a lot of flack of trying to people figuring out like the new network. Okay, how does this work? We have to bridge. We have to learn this new set of things. People don't like something they're not comfortable with or have to learn. Like education's a huge barrier, and it needs to be made simple. And so it kind of started off on kind of like a wrong foot, I think. But that's because the product wasn't ready. These things were given out and was like, hey, here's an idea that you're supposed to believe in, even though like you're not prepared. I think just having people pay attention and like be able to set expectations where it's not overdone. People used to be like, oh my God, you're partnered with Disney, and teams were like, yes, believe that. Yeah. Thank you so much, when that was never, ever, ever on the cards.
You bring up what did you just bring up? You just brought up something. Sorry, I got a million things.
Nah, you're chilling. You're chilling.
We were just talking about community separation. Man, I just lost my train of thought.
Yo, Gravity, if you play League of Legends NA, let me know. Let me know. We can rep later.
Oh, Miss Gecko in the building. Shout outs to Miss Geck in the house. Gravity John, Dubes, Shawnee Poo. All right, so we were talking about education. Right, the education of the blockchain, and are you talking about the root network? Is that what Futureverse works with, right?
Yeah. So, like, from our understanding, it was kind of like it's 11-ish companies, if not more, that were rolled together. They kind of inherently helped build the root network. I don't know if it's ever like officially out there, like who's exactly behind it. But it's the cluster there.
All right. So education is a big thing. Do you think the educational aspect of onboarding people is the job of content creators like us, or is it the job of the companies to create that?
I mean, I guess the companies, because they probably have better reach. But obviously they can utilize the different people to do that. And we have seen that in like different cases, not necessarily massively in like Futureverse's term, but they do have like really good videos to highlight different things. And I think their production is some of like the sickest in terms of trailers. But how do you answer that? Because when we are thinking that what we do right now might become completely obsolete, and this whole idea of smart wallets, nothing you're having to do these seed phrases or anything else, like we might be like the people that are grandfathered in and they have to like build in stupid stuff for us because we're not adapting, or we might get forced to something that's easier in the future. So this whole idea of like them educating, to a point, yes, but at the same time, I think the idea for all of this is, for the most part, the technology to be invisible. And so you kind of have like a double-edged sword, focus resources over there, or explain, hey, this is going to be like this, but only for a short amount of time.
So what do you think they can do in order to simplify it to onboard the regular person?
I mean, with them doing email signups, right? I think that those are easy for us. The aspect of you can just sign in with a Web3 wallet. You don't even need to enter your email or anything else. Half the time you're probably logged into your wallet anyway if you're like a Web3 user. I don't know if there's anything more that you can do just because it's so simple. But again, I mean, Face ID recognition, basic logins. I don't think there's much more than that.
Do you use spatial?
I have not heard of that.
Spatially, all right. So it's like a metaverse type of situation.
Okay,
where you can
okay.
go walk around and experience different things. They're actually a Web3 platform where you go import your NFTs into the space, and they've recently was it spatial? No, I believe it was OpenSea where they took away the wallet and had you sign up with an email and allowed users to come in and use their email to sign in and start collecting. You know, I think that's great. Have you heard of Cryptoys?
Yes, I actually interviewed their CEO about like a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago.
Nice. You know what? I don't even talk about cryptos. Can you explain a little bit about Futureverse and what Futureverse is for those in the building that might not know, and for myself too? I want to learn a little bit more.
So, if you think of the realm of AI right now, there's a lot of questions about how do you get involved with it. And even further to that, if you agree that AI will be able to thrive on the blockchain or it has a huge purpose for that, there is still a massive barrier or people that are still trying to figure it out. I guess the race is open would be a better term to throw this in. And so Futureverse, from what it seems, is they figured out kind of an AI component with the altered state machine protocol, and they are attempting to bring that to mass market and have AI democratized in a way. And for Futureverse, they've covered metaverse notifications, an asset register for everything, where from like Web 2 to Web 3. There's a lot of different things that are coming together, but they've done the research and they've figured out how to build out what we kind of foresee as the metaverse and interacting with these other massive platforms like Roblox and Fortnite, which they've highlighted they've partnered with a whole lot. I wanted to start with that description because one of the things that was very hard for me to grasp is that Futureverse is a tech stack company. So it's not supposed to be the in-your-face name. It's kind of how everything's run on, kind of like your Microsoft Office type deal.
Okay, so it's gonna be okay. I see, and it's gonna be it's mostly games. I did notice.
So that's the thing. It sounds like it's a little bit of everything. They've tapped into the Korean market. It seems like they're working with massive IP brands. They're wanting to be a consumer brand. The reference that we use right now, just because it's one of the products that are out there, is Reebok Impact. Now, people have different opinions on Reebok. If you're a Kawhi Leonard fan, you know, I absolutely love Reebok. I think actually no, that's New Balance now. Holy crap, I look like a fish. You're gonna crucify me if you're an NBA fan. But the Angel Reese, Shaq, Allen Iverson, Reebok, you know, a kind of a brand that is really well known out there, and that's the purpose of it. And so they've integrated where you can send them a memory on Instagram and they will create like a digital shoe with that photo on the bottom, but kind of like a cool design where then you can wear that digitally. Now, some people will care about that. Some people are like, whatever. But if you thought, hey, like creating sneaker designs is kind of cool, but you know, I've never had the tools to do that, you can kind of go into it and start playing with those tools yourself to get an idea of it.
So basically, Futureverse is it'll be able to provide an experience, but a variety of experiences.
Yes, I think they're partnered with a lot of different individuals as well, which I think is going to be one of the things that brings it kind of mainstream. Because I from Cryptoys to VV to I mean there's a lot of other ones to be fair, but the ones that have the IP, the brand, that nostalgia, that's something that people already care about, is going to be absolutely vital. Because with that technology hidden, people don't care. Oh, it's on the blockchain. No, it's you know, here's my Oddish first edition Pokemon card that I love. Maybe I want to like relive those first episodes. Maybe I could walk through how those shows originally looked. Maybe I can interact or buy something that I've always wanted to. Let's say that you're a big Gucci fan, but you've never been able to get to a big city, or your parents won't give you like a credit card to order one. Somehow in these metaverses, it'll be possible. But now that I'm thinking about it, there's Walmart and then you have to go to get the gift card. So disregard that last point, but hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, man. Onboarding the regular person, I think that the key would have to be to just make it fun, right? Make it fun
Yes.
and easy to use.
And it's not a buzzword. It's not a buzzword. People always use this reference of like it's got to be fun, and like it's true. Like there's a lot of things of like even community people say is a buzzword. Like no, people have to care about these things. It's a self-fulfilling thing where everybody once they get passionate about something, it's just going to grow, and the more people that are passionate and excited about it, it just keeps going and going. And that's hard as hell to do in Web3. And so it's wild to think of like the brands that have succeeded, from your Doodles, Cool Cats, et cetera, to having that recognizable brand within Web3. Like that shit is hard to do.
Yeah, man. And shout outs to Shara. I think that's how you pronounce her name, right? She's involved with Futureverse. I don't know if she's the CEO, but look at her resume. It gets me excited because she's not in the space. She comes from a different type of background. It's media, it's television, movies, and I saw the Cool Cats animation that she put together on YouTube, and I'm just like, this is what gets me excited and what's gonna get everybody else excited, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think the connections are a huge aspect. The resume, as you mentioned for her, sounds like something's going on with the NFL, which will be kind of interesting. But of course, on the music front, they had some massive DJs and producers they were going to do some kind of an NFT launch with before, but they held it off because they didn't want to do a paid mint at the time. And it seems with their AI music generator, where if you guys want to be your own DJ, create a tune, have something in your head, you can create an awful good track. You just type in, create a symphony, intense beats. You can type in whatever, and that's an example of one of the Futureverse tech stack workings.
Did you hear about the record labels suing AI programs this week?
Well, they joke about timing is everything, and I think that dropped like the day after they announced Gems. So now the narrative, right? That's another huge part about this, is all about narrative. True. Like,
True.
You know, what do people think about things? And so that adds a huge significance to them saying we're ethically trained, because otherwise people are like, oh, that's cool. But here's now an example of somebody getting sued for like $700 million or whatever. Oh, shit, we got to pay attention.
Yeah, you do. I think that the future is going to be, you know how we have Web 2, you go into a website and you basically I think Web 3 everybody's going to have a website in their own metaverse that they're going to have to build out. And when you go visit somebody's space with somebody's website, www. whatever, you're going to have to just jump into their metaverse and experience it as you would every type of metaverse. So yeah, the technology behind it doesn't even matter, right? It's just the experience that matters. I'm going to jump into some of these questions. We're like 2 minutes past our 30-minute mark. Special guest baby in the building. Dubes, hey, yo, I do the same. Play League of Legends, check VeveMarket, then PS5. Do you have any Veve collectibles?
No. You need to explain to me the gems thing. Whenever you say gems, that's the thing that like, this sounds stupid, but it's one of the things where I'm like, I don't know the currency. I'm not familiar with it. I don't get what the value is. I'm not sure if that's actually like you type in gems on like a crypto market. That part just feels really weird that like you buy it and then it's now gems, or explain that to me.
You know, it's an in-app currency, basically. It's an in-app currency, and you can't purchase anything without the gems. You purchase a gem. $1 equals 1 gem. That's the equivalent of 1 gem.
Okay, so it's just USD. That makes so much sense, because I was watching your Venom thing, and you're like, are people gonna dump it? Are they gonna hold it?
Yeah. And so gems are basically $1. So, but you know, obviously, you know, the fees to cash out. So people argue that it's not worth $1. So. Yeah, it's technically $1. You put in $10, you get 10 gems. There is. Oh yeah, that's right. Do you have any Cryptoys?
Yes, I have a Cryptoys Classic.
Nice. Is there a suggested signal to alert an enthusiast from rug pulls? Thanks.
I mean, you challenge people whenever they talk about anything, whenever they bring up something, challenge them, try to get them to answer technical questions, see if the passion's there, the rationale for coming into the space, are the stories real. Any time that you can hear from people and see it, like, I feel people are way better at getting like a judge of character than we give credit to. You know what I mean? Like if somebody comes through and you're like, all right, that person's kind of fishy. Like as an example, within Futureverse, there was somebody that came in the Discord and it was around like the Deadfellas thing, and absolutely nothing against Deadfellas, but this was hilarious. And it was somebody that was there. And then they came in, they're like, oh my God, I'm going to sweep fluffs. And then like they bought a couple, right? And then they started like posting the fluff image like in the Discord every like 15 minutes. And I'm like, rational person just doesn't do that. That feels like a little strange. And then they start talking about like leverage trading and all this kind of stuff. And then they're like selling some of them and then like posting about like buying a whole bunch more. And then like they dumped all of them and disappeared one day. And I'm like, listen, from minute one, I was on this person. Something was suspicious and it was true.
Yeah. We got those as well. Hey, Gex, which project is closer to figuring out the Web3 space?
I mean, I'm pretty biased, obviously, with the whole Futureverse idea, because I mean, like, let's put it in a different perspective. So, like, I mean, I have a Bored Ape tattoo, by the way. For anybody that doesn't know, behind me, got all this stuff. Like,
do you own one? Do you own one?
Yeah. I still have the one that I bought. Like, or I mean, I minted like 28 of them. I could have had like $8 million, but I paper handed for other stuff. Well, anyway, that didn't. Yeah, listen, Top Shot, Bored Ape Yacht. Eventually, we're gonna make it, guys. Eventually, we are gonna make it, but not yet. So, I think the wait, hold on. I totally lost my train of thought now. Son of a bitch.
Which project is closer to figuring out the Web3 space?
So talking about Yuga, I think one of the things that was evident if you really paid attention to what was going on is when Daniel Allegre, the CEO that was from Activision Blizzard, came into Yuga, everybody had this notion of it like flipped corporate and it was all these kind of weird things. Now, originally, I don't know if this was before his tenure or he might have been like hired just into it type deal. But the other side they were launching, the metaverse, was built by Improbable M2. And that relationship suddenly got kiboshed and they were starting to do their own thing when the Improbable was doing the tech stack, but Yuga had the IP and the community that was surrounding them, so they needed each other. And that was a huge split between things. And once Garga, the original BOYC kind of CEO, stepped back in, that relationship got mended and everything finally felt kosher. And you see these different partnerships of whether it be MoonPay, Coinbase, whatever, of these interoperability things. Whoever the hell is building these tech stacks are going to be huge. Like, I would argue you bet on Improbable more than Yuga to an extent because they have the tech that the other people need to use and will always be renting off of them. So that's where I'm like, okay, from Featureverse, from my perspective, from what we've seen so far, I really like it. They're absolutely not the only ones, but they're the ones that I'm educated on. So some are, about the money. They have these things, and then these things have been worked on for a long time.
Okay. Just to bring it back to 2021, 2022, that little hype and that pump that we had, right? Did you have anything that you wish and you look back on and like, man, I would have let this go? Do you get emotionally attached to your assets or to your digital stuff? Or is it something that you can just let go and bring it back in as you please?
Yeah, I mean, originally, kind of, like, I had a Bored Ape that looked like Johnny Knoxville, and I was like, I'm going to sell it to that guy for $1 million one day. And, like, that would never absolutely happen type deal. But no, I mean, I feel like earlier there was some things of, like, hey, like, I believe this will work out, or they could take something mainstream, but at the same time, we see a lot of pivots and changes within the space, and it's, there's nothing wrong about that. But I think there's just like, you change as a person as well. So your like interests very much can change over that time. And so there's been some like ones that I go back and look through, and I've done some videos like recapping what I personally bought and why I bought it, where I don't know if you ever remember Genesis Halls, but people created this narrative that Larva Labs, the creators of CryptoPunks, was behind it. That was not true. They mooned, dead. Not a great time.
Done. What is Silo?
Yo, Bildo, my man, have you heard about Silo? So I think when you look at the ecosystems and the technology plays, Silo is a part of the Featureverse tech stack that's focusing on notifications, that's focusing on oracles where you can connect Web 2 data to Web 3 data, and really this layer that everything lives on because it's an asset register. Think of how life works with interoperability from cars to video games and trying to have certain standards. I think the Silo network and everything to do with that is going to be a standard where people are able to link in their metaverse notifications across all these different platforms, and the fact they have the brands associated as well. They're not going to rely on other people because they're going to have their own, but obviously I think that service is going to be out there for people. And so I'm just really bullish on it because I think that when you realize, hey, there needs to be a standard across the space for the open metaverse to work, then this might be the one. And people are shilling me $100 billion market cap plus on the timeline. Unbelievable.
Yeah, man, that's key word, right? Like the metaverse or the ecosystem that has the most interoperability with the most ecosystems is going to be the one that everybody's going to want to be at.
And that's what people were so excited with the other side at a point, because World of Women, Forgotten Runes, Wizard Cult, the Hounds, they started introducing all these collections and people were like, oh my God. And then all of a sudden they sold off like half of the collections that gave like certain perks with that. And then you don't even know if there's, but that's a completely different point. But yes, 100%.
A Kid Called Beast.
Yo, I love that. I almost bought them. I think they're one of my favorite aesthetics in terms of characters that are out there. I remember I was perturbed by one of the random founder outbreaks of some sort. I forget, there was some drama that I was like, you know what? I don't want to deal with any kind of drama. And that was probably the only thing that prevented me from buying them at the time, but definitely one of my favorite collections.
I'm going to take a hard left. What kind of upbringing did you have when you were a kid? Were you the only child? Do you have any siblings?
Yo, that's crazy. No, I was an only child. No, it was good. I don't know. There wasn't anything like super outlandish or crazy. Played like soccer, baseball, and whatnot as a kid. Like in high school, I decided to get like super involved with everything. But I think like before that, like I was a pretty chill child that way.
All right, so tell me about your day. When you wake up in the morning, what is your program? What is your routine?
What's the program? All right, get up, go check the phone. Hopefully, you have a bunch of one of the most ridiculous things. If you guys don't have notifications on for people on X, like just set it up for a day, just to have like your mind might explode if you don't do that. Or sorry, if you haven't done that. But yeah, check the phone. Sometimes go to the gym, usually go out for a walk around the area because it's been super sunny here lately. Go check online and just kind of wait for the day to unfold, because I do RWA Segments podcast as well, which is a podcast focused on real world assets and that whole area where, again, the Web3 landscape is so insane. And so I sometimes have different interviews for that, have to edit things. Lately, I've been getting really into trying to do the Featureverse content. So whether it be just editing a clip from a stream, having conversations with people. And that's another thing is I think we're going to be able to tell, talking about kind of the rug pull thing earlier, not totally related, but kind of. I think that we're going to be able to tell if you're very passionate about a community. Like, you'd be able to notice right away if we had a conversation about Vivi and you had the assumption that I knew a decent bit about it, you'd be able to tell as a fraud instantly. I think that's one of the things within the space that people are going to see different opportunities, and you're going to be able to tell instantaneously if they're actually somebody that like cares about it, or they're just there because there's an audience.
Pick them out like a pimple. Have you ever been rug pulled? Have you ever been rug pulled?
So the craziest things, there was a project called Look Labs. Look Labs. This was a collection that was highly touted, and it was about a 420 farm, and they had goat wars, and they had all this crazy shenanigans going on. When you say it out loud, you look like an absolute idiot. But there was a guy that was like this German dev, and he was partnered with a couple people from the United States. And one of the founders actually sold off like 50% of... They sold 50% of their IRL business ventures to go full-time and work on this project, in which the German dev then walked away with the $5 million, and the project just died. After he took an additional $1 million from another United States investor. And that was probably the worst one, because I was like, I think this is going to do very well, and it absolutely didn't. So whenever I talk about, the excitement and things, there's absolutely been some heartbreak along the way.
Yeah, man, that's a messed up day. Do you think that we need to actually maybe cultivate a therapy session on YouTube, or have a content creator that does just therapy sessions?
It's insane the amount of mental health advice on the timeline recently. I don't know if you've seen it, but like people you wouldn't think of it, they're like posting about, hey, your mind's your place, make it happy. And it's just like, it's insane, but it's true. And I think that, to the point of like, hey, are people here just for kind of to be guests in the industry, or do they actually want to be here? If somebody committed to that, kid, that's legitimately $1 million idea. I forget the guy. you or somebody in the audience might know, but he does it on YouTube, and he's done interviews with like Asmongold and other people, and he's a mental health doctor. It's like something GG. I forget his name, but it's crazy the interviews that he's had and the success from it, because he went from just interviewing like kids that were playing video games, and the stories were kind of like pretty deep to begin with, so it was interesting, but then he ended up getting all these massive streamers. And if you focus on Web3, listen, Web3 will come to you.
Yeah, Web3 will definitely come to you. Well, it just slipped my mind. What was I gonna ask you, man? How you feeling? Are you having fun today?
Yo, I'm loving this. This is great. We gotta have some chats more, because see, one of the problems with like what's going on in the space, and like I'm not sure if you play many of like the games on stream or anything, like none of it's fun. So like I don't like I we do the daily talk show, but there's not anything that I'm like, yeah, like I feel passionate about covering this for a while. Like it's just we need something to connect people again, where it's not just kind of looking at a marketplace. It's something that's fun.
Right. It has to have some entertainment value, right?
Yes.
Have you ever gone back? I just got my thoughts back. Have you ever, let's say Futureverse is your main project, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever gone back and forth with anybody shitting on Futureverse? And have you ever
that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to think. So one of the problems is that I try to really look at everything with like a double-edged sword, where most of the things that have been discussed, I'm like rationally like, okay, and that's a reasonable take. Maybe it worded a little bit harshly or something, but arguably that's a reasonable take. So I don't know if I've ever gone back and forth with somebody aggressively that way, but I think the aspect of people talking negative about certain things surely comes from a place of, okay, I actually think that there's something wrong, or just being uneducated about it. Like that's simply it. Like different takes about, my artifact thing before. I don't know the actual workings of the artifact community. I've read on my show a bunch of people's tweets that my timeline fed me from the algorithm saying that people were bearish as shit. Like, I mean, I don't know, right? Like you plead ignorance in a way, but I think just like lack of education for the most part. But, generally speaking, I think anybody that I've seen with certain complaints has like some sort of merit. And, a lot of those things have been resolved per se.
Okay. Are you a meme coin person?
Nah, I'm not a meme coin person. That's unbelievable.
Okay.
I think, listen, I think that there's people that are out there, and I agree to an extent about the meme coin super cycle aspect, where we've had a coin kick off, whether it be Doge, whether it be Shiba Inu, whether it be WIF, Pepe. There's all these things where there's always that chance, so like it's hard to discredit it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What's your favorite cereal?
What's my favorite cereal? I think I'm lactose intolerant, to be honest, and so
Almond milk. They got almond milk. Coconut
Yo,
milk.
I'm allergic to nuts though, so I'm double screwed.
Oh no!
Yo, it's tough out here.
I feel it's tough out here for you, man. It's tough out here for you. Are you a gambler?
I mean, I'm in NFTs, bro. Oh, come on now. I mean, apart from that, no. Like, if anything, I find those gambling ads annoying as hell. You try to watch sports, every single commercial, you used to get like a cool car or something, maybe a food you'd like. I mean, now we get DoorDash and gambling, and that's like literally it for commercials across the board.
Yeah. What's your favorite sport? What kind of sports are you into?
I mean, I don't play any sports anymore, but I used to be a huge Chelsea FC fan. Love the MLB. Went to the Yankees game, my first Yankees game. I'm Canadian, but went down there with for NFT NYC, and Pixel Vault had a really cool like in-person event there that was neat. Okay, so this is one of the stupidest things ever. You kind of reminded me, and I'm sorry, I'm going to hijack this for a second. So there's two incidences. There's two incidences of going to IRL events that are just, listen, you hear these things, know that they're kind of tough out there. So for Pixel Vault, they had a game where you could go, a ticket raffle where different holders were given access to different events in New York. They had like a lunch tour, they did a Yankees game, and something else. And the only way to get those was either winning those NFTs or buying the NFT. And so I bought the NFT, and it was like $600, whatever. Like, I mean, it was a lot, but I was like, hey, I'm in New York. We're getting like a tour of the president's office. We got to see, like, it was this huge thing. It was like a bus tour, and it was really cool and worth it. But we get to the stadium and we sit down, and like two people immediately get up and go get food. And then the tour guide person's like, okay, guys, we're going to like the back pub thing. All the food and drinks are on us, so I just got to be with you to get a card. And I'm like, whoa, why'd we just let those two people walk away if we're like going to do this like fancy thing? So we're all going into this thing, and you see those two people that went early walking back. I'm like, that just seems like common sense. So I thought that was weird as hell. And then the other one was VCon. Holy smoke, Gary Vaynerchuk, my goodness. So the first one I go to, and the way they had it was you didn't know what the ticket price were going to come out at. And book games was a massive thing at the time where they were rather expensive. I think it was like a few $100s for any of the book games. But within book games, you could burn your NFT to be able to get, you know, whether it be an NFT or ticket to VCon. And so before the tickets were tradable on secondary, I was like, oh my God, these tickets are going to be impossible. There's only 10,000 of them. What do I do? And so I bought the book game tickets to redeem it because I was like, I need an extra ticket. We're buying this thing. And then the tickets come out and all the things friggin' absolutely crash. And so I'm absolutely livid going into this because I'm like, this is all, it makes no sense. I don't know why you charge so much in terms of the book games. Like, go off of the USD value. I kind of get it. This is dumb. Anyhow, so we get there and they have like breakfast, which is, you know, great. You get a, you know, sausage wrap. Hell yeah, brother. And then you go through the events and you're like, okay, like, not to be narcissistic or anything, but like these are all Twitter spaces that, like, you know, I could have been interviewing these people. Like there's nothing that seems that advantageous or interesting to me. Sure, there was a couple of speakers that was cool, but like it didn't have the pizzazz and the, you know, engagement that I thought. And so I'm like, okay, you know, having fun, whatever, at Minnesota Vikings Stadium. Let's go down and sit in some merch. It's hot as absolute blazes out there, and we're in the middle of the field. We're waiting in this long ass merch line for like 2.5, 3 hours. Get up to the front, we're out of merch. Oh. Guys, it's day one of VCon and you don't have enough merch. I just sat here for 2 hours. This is unbelievable. So I'm in an absolute fit of rage, and I'm crucifying them on X. I'm sending them DMs, and so I tried to find it. I have no idea where it is, but it's somewhere here. I have 2 hoodies that are Patient Panda hoodies from Gary V that are signed from me complaining about VCon not having any merch. So if there's any problems in life, ladies and gentlemen, message support. You might get something out of it.
Giveaways coming soon, guys, on the Schiller's channel. Everybody go and check out the Schiller's YouTube channel. The link is in the description of this video, man. We're going to have to go and check them out. We're going to have to let you go in a few more minutes, man. I thank you for coming on. Thank you for
This has
coming
been
on,
a blast. Yo, I'm not going to lie. Like, not to glaze you or anything, but this has been an absolute blast. Pleasure to come back whenever. You got to come on the stream that I got at some point. But the, Lil Rich 50, I got your name in a window off to the side here for League of Legends, sir. So I'll give you an ad on
That's
League.
right. That's right. Any opinions on Fidgetals?
I mean, in theory, it sounds cool. I think like the collectibles aspect, like it's like, I mean, I have like CyberKong hoodies from one of like their original mints when Banana was $1,000, and I paid, I don't even know how much in that token, which I probably shouldn't because they're definitely not worth that right now. But I mean, I think like it's an aspect that could be really cool. But again, those chips need to be kind of off to the side, not impeding at all. But it's just kind of a matter of narrative too. Like it's cool to have the tech, but somewhat like the VR headsets, it's going to take a little bit, I think, to really kick off.
Do we need legacy tech to participate in Web3, or can new innovators have success?
I mean, I think that it helps speed up the success. For sure, but at the same time, if you think about it, your, you know, grandparents or anybody that's older in your family, how often do they do things that are digital? Think of anybody that's younger in your family, all they do is digital. So it's also kind of a matter of time.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both, right? If you're somebody new, then you can see what everybody else messed up on, their mistakes, and then build off of that. So I think it's a little bit of both. You're the best arcade. Have you heard of and do you own Earth 2?
No, I don't.
Yeah, me neither.
I haven't.
Sorry, Vivi Zombie. We don't know. Would Pokemon be an exciting IP for a project to have for mass adoption? Thanks.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, so that's an interesting question, though, because did you ever see the original Game of Thrones attempt at NFTs?
No, but
they
love
had
Game
like
of Thrones.
the character that had like a fist that was like a crooked hand, and it wasn't even holding like the lightsaber. Some blockchain company or something got IP for it, and it was their first attempt, and it was horrible. It went sideways. And so even though an IP is coming to the space, I mean, even Pepsi, if you remember those Pepsi mics, they were going for like fortunes. And now nobody cares about them and there's like zero utility to it.
So Vivi is a closed garden. That's the sentiment. Does that keep you away from Vivi, or do you think that if Vivi gets Pokemon, you're in?
If it gets Pokemon, I would be in. I think the aspect of just it. This might seem weird because, again, this is like personally my point of view, but if I was on the timeline and I saw that you guys were like, hey, here's like $3 or $4 characters, or there's something like this, and make me feel nostalgic. If there's a drop like that Venom thing, as an example, when I was rewatching your stream, in my mind, it took me back to one of the VHS movies that I bought way back in the day that was about, it had like Rhino, Spider-Man in it, and I think there was Venom, and it was like an older version. It was a movie. I don't think it was insanely long, but I was like, damn, if you guys put that name of that movie and that graphic alongside that, I'm sold. But that's super specific, right? But playing on nostalgia is, I think, a huge thing because, you see those characters and I'm like, okay, that, I remember that character, but like, what's the aspect that makes me be like, I remember, and that gives me nostalgia.
Yeah, nostalgia is important, man. That just pushes everything to the top, right? Miss Gecko, let's go. Schiller, Kid Arcade, the Schiller, the duo we didn't know we needed. Let's go, Miss Gex, Atari A, the fam in the building. Had to come back to YouTube for the chat. That's right. Have a blessed day, man. Great talk. Thanks for the chat. Can't wait for the next one. Hiya, Billy. The Schiller, man. Thank you so much for being here, man. We've hit the top of the hour. This was a whole lot of fun.
Appreciate you.
You're so entertaining, man. For real. Like, you have a gift, and finding your YouTube channel was very, very, very exciting for me. And I find myself tuning in on my way to work. You're usually on while I'm driving to work. So I thank you so much for everything you do, man. And hopefully we can get you back on the channel.
Yo, of course. Pleasure being here. Thank you so much.
Everybody, if you guys are watching this, go follow him on YouTube. Go follow him, the Schillerverse, on Twitter, on X. The link is down there in the description. I actually had a really good question while we were just in conversation. Like, it just slipped my mind. So hopefully it comes back to me in the next 30 seconds. Adrodero, we need more Schiller. Go follow him, guys. Go follow him. The Schiller. Thank you. Please like, please subscribe. We'll see everybody next time. Peace.